Previously on Nick Storm. Normally, I do the intro for these kind of things, but
Yeah.
I have a script. Can I get you to read it off?
Sure. Welcome to Ringside Collectibles Figure Insider. Ever wanted to know what it was like when an icon became Australian? Well, now you can know with the all-new Nick Storm review figure, which comes in Elite Series 69. Nice.
Oh,
Good?
man, I wanted that. Oh, man, that was awesome. You
Good
saw
lord.
it there first, dude.
Good
Yeah,
lord.
we are young and spry in that clip, but hey, I was gonna say we already said you found the fountain of youth, but guys, welcome to the 51st episode of Figure Friday. I reveal and everything. Okay, you're getting the whole works in this number right now. Welcome. I am the Australian icon. Oh man, my lungs are not prepared for this this early in the morning, but it's happening. I can definitely say that. Justin, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well. We got 2 episodes back to back.
I'm losing it. Okay, and I think that's where you're meant to be as a creator, as a creative person. You're meant to be at the I'm losing it point, so you can make your best stuff, right?
I'm still here against my own free will, but it's good to be in the Nick Storm vortex.
Smile. Thank you. So make sure you smile. Yeah, good. All right. Yeah, you'll be getting your payroll. You'll be getting your cut as well. But let's hopefully. Oh, I can see it off camera there as well. We have a very special guest. If you can see, if you have eyes and ears, and every orifice maybe on your head. Dude, that's crazy. I need that.
They're crazy.
You're making me jealous with these figures that you have in hand. We have Tom Sanford from Ringside Collectibles and from the works as well, just from freaking figure world in general when it comes to creating online in the space. Tom, how the hell are you? Second time on the channel, so good to talk to you again.
I'm good, bro. Your charisma is everlasting, so happy to see that, and great to be here with both of you, and thanks for having me back. I'm doing great. I'm pumped up, and it's Friday, and that's a good thing, and there's new Ringside Collectibles unsanctioned action figures, and that's a good thing too. So between those two things, that makes it all work out for me.
Damn right it does. Okay, I'm getting a mohawk prepared just for this episode, and
look what I see.
But let's talk about it straight off the bat, man. So last time you were here, I remember I think you were still maybe in talks to come back to Ringside at a full capacity. Was it really
that long ago? Geez, that's a few years, huh? Wow,
it's been so. Like I checked the date. I think it's like 3 or 4 years or something like that.
Holy smokes!
Insane.
Yeah.
I don't know where the times went, but I want to know where the times went for you. What have you been occupying the most?
They went. So that was like, geez, I rejoined Ringside summer of 2021. So yeah, we're coming up on 4 years, which is pretty wild. A good thing. Always a lot of fun with wrestling action figures. How can you not have fun when you get to make toys of your favorite thing? Or one of your favorite things, I should say. And geez, where do you even begin? Like, it's, there's like all the great Mattel WWE figures, like Elites, Ultimate Editions. Everything's just like absolutely exploded since then. Jazzwares, AEW figures, unmatched, unrivaled. There are a SH something load of wrestling figures at the moment, and I couldn't be happier about that. Could you guys? I mean that, like, as a wrestling fan and as an action figure collector, I can't think of a wilder time to be collecting and buying action figures, in my opinion. So
yeah, like I think,
and it all happened because I came back to Ringside Collectibles.
It's crazy, right?
No,
it's
I'm
weird.
kidding.
It's very convenient timing that lined up. I think we are eating
it's
good.
pretty
as well.
Convenient, yeah.
We are, dude. I don't think that's a byproduct to, I think, the wrestling world in general. Like we were seeing a boom I think in 2021, right?
Mm-hmm,
And I think that's been like nonstop for a fair few years. I feel like there's a huge amount of takeaways from either company the past 4 or 5 years, and
mm-hmm.
I think that's helping nothing but the wrestling figures, and it's not helping this thing, pal. I'll tell you that much. This thing is in dire straits. Okay, money for nothing, literally.
John
Dude,
knows. He knows when
John-
you get paid.
he knows. He already has it. Like he's like, wow. Conveniently, this guy places an order every 2 weeks. Okay, let's put a sale up, just so we can crunch numbers on his wallet. But Tom, there's actually another special thing. I'm not talking about your face for one. Thank God.
Yoy.
Yoy, oy vey. Okay. I'm not talking about your face for once, dude. I'm talking about a couple of unsanctioned classic superstars, dude. We got the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom. Please talk my ear off all about this, dude.
You
What do
mean
we have
these
in front
guys
of
right
us?
here?
I
So
mean those guys.
let's see. What do I got? Not one, not two, not three, but four. Two different versions right here. The red and the black. The international, as I like to call them, the Road Warriors. They're back. You know, it's been look at that. Justin knows what's up.
Yep.
That looks
prepared,
like
man.
that looks like hot stuff to me. That's for sure.
That's a day one pre-order, man.
Oh,
It had to be.
nice. Yeah, and I think it was an absolute blast to be able to just kind of drop these on everyone, show like, hey, look what's here and look what's happening. Like there was a week tease, and that's all it took. And up they showed. We got two different versions after what is it, like 10, 11, 12, whatever it was, like 12 years, I think, since the last time like a modern scale Road Warriors set came out. It was, it's overwhelming. The response was overwhelming. The positive feedback I've seen, I'm so pumped to be like running an action figure line and managing it is so cool. We started with the Bell to Bell series at Ringside, and that was kind of a little toe in the water, and then it was kind of like, you know what, let's just kind of cannonball in and see what happens, and that's what happened. And so two different a regular set and a variant set of the Road Warriors, like just endless discussions, endless possibilities. I love seeing it. I love seeing like what everyone is like expecting, what they're looking for. A little bit of confusion at first, like what do these scale with, this or that, and I tried to leave that up to everybody to interpret on their own, but eventually I jumped in and I was like, they scale with all the figures you already have. And, that was, for me, a huge part of the point. Like, let's add to your collection instead of giving you that, like, kind of feeling of needing an extra separate shelf or something like that. Like let's blend things together, because that's what I like. I've said this a few times over the past few weeks. Like, I'm not the guy that needs, like, a shelf specific to this line and this line and this line. I know there are a lot of people like that. I'm not knocking that at all. But for me, I'm like, let's mix it up. Let's make the dream wrestling figure version of the video game that had every character you ever wanted in it. Like, that's what I want to see. I like, let's just be crazy with it. And so that's what I think of when I think of Unsanctioned. I want to make it fit. I want to make it feel like it belongs. And I hope we accomplish that. I mean, you guys would be able to answer to that point better than I would. Like, did we accomplish that with the first step out there? What do you think?
I was worried about you, to be honest with you, when you announced this, because it had the classic superstars name. Mm-hmm. And so everybody sort of is like, oh, is this going to be like RA style, sure. Because those molds are out there is what we've heard. So there's lots of speculation. You didn't offer us like a silhouette teaser or anything. So like people, how this community is. People's minds are just like racing, going crazy, and they're like
fantasy booking, like crazy.
And then you drop this on us, and it's in scale with Mattel. It's sort of there with Jazzwares, and I think people were blown away.
That's what I was hoping for. I gotta say, and like you're right that the community is really specific, but I think the wrestling figure community has earned that. Like, you look at other toy lines, even like the next closest, most expansive one I would probably say is like, what would you say? Like maybe Star Wars or Transformers, like, who has like the depth with different types of, you know, like we have Hasbro's, we have LJNs, we have like the stuff with Jacks, like Bone Crunchers, and on. It's just, all the way up to what we have today. Like wrestling has done that with action figures and toys in a way that a lot of other stuff has not, like has just not lasted at that level. And so I think like wrestling figure fans have earned the right to, that's a lot of hobby money out of a lot of wallets to be allowed to be finicky about stuff and allowed to think this way and, you know, have criticisms and whatnot. I'm all for that. So like I've been a member of this community like since starting to work at Ringside in 2008. I also bought figures like back in the day, and I was like the craziest. This is like a crazy thing to think, but there was a time like that I was like sitting on Ringside Collectibles, not really realizing what I was sitting on, looking at new action figures. Like I don't think I ever bought any. I think usually I just bought them from the store because I was like internet illiterate at that point. But
oh, me too. I'm
way
the
back
same
when.
right now.
Yeah. Right. Like, you know, who orders things off the internet? Are you crazy? And just like knowing that I was like on this website back in the day, and then to end up like just kind of by chance working with them in a way that is attached to something that I've always loved, which is wrestling, you know, or at least like a growth into that love. Like it's wild. It's a crazy thing. And it's really cool. And so anyways, the point I'm making is like it's a broad, long-lasting community that is allowed, in my opinion, to have like criticism. So Justin, I definitely appreciate your worry, and it's really nice of you. And you know, there was only like a few bomb threats, which is not a big deal. You just work through those, no problem.
Yeah.
I started a prayer
once you
circle
get a
for
few,
you.
it's like you've got them all. You know.
Once you've been told one or two times that you should die and go to hell, like, you know, what's another extra few thousand times?
Just noise. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
point,
for sure.
Yeah.
It just sound. So, but it rules, and I can't say enough like how cool it is to be involved in that. And one like final point on that is like my first day ever with Ringside Collectibles, like way back when I worked for Ringside the first time. I had dinner with Animal and Terry Funk, and that was like my first day. And so that was like before a Ringside Fest they were both at. And so Animal was like, you know, I've always loved the Road Warriors. Like that's always been like, you know, if not like top 5 tag teams, probably like top 2 even. Like I you know, maybe there's someone else out there that I hold in kind of the same regard, but like I love Hawk and Animal. Like one of the coolest tag teams ever, in the argument for one of the best ever. And to know that like I was like sitting and talking my first day with Animal just about like, you know, wrestling in general, and, you know, like what his favorite matches are and stuff like that, all the way to now, which, you know, unfortunately he's gone, but I was never sitting in that chair at that time thinking we would be coming out with like action figures that are in line with all the action figures that the mainstream companies come out with. And the fact that I was able to work on that is just like a really kind of like, to me, small but exciting thing in life, for sure. Very cool. Very, very cool.
I share that sentiment. Like that, if you were like a fan coming in and this is your first day at a job,
Yeah.
I mean, like near first day, right? You're trying to still suss out the place. You're seeing if this is a right fit for you. I feel like that's a great first impression for a workplace. I don't know. That's just me, maybe.
It was pretty wild. It was something. And Animal was, you know, he was a pretty laid back, normal guy. It was Terry Funk at the time that was like pretty wild.
Middle-aged.
he had some like wild stories for me,
table.
and, you know, oh man, if only. I'm kind of glad that didn't happen. I might have backed up a little bit. But
you wouldn't have taken the bump. It's okay.
Maybe
it's
not.
fine.
Yeah, maybe not. But you know, everything else, I was all about it. I've been all about it ever since. Like, yeah, I've worked at other places since Ringside, but it's only kind of expanded my business brain and my creative brain in theory. And I just brought all that back when it made sense for us to work together again. And now here I am, and here these little puppies are. So,
dude,
you
yeah.
know, can't go wrong with that.
On that for a second. So what is the timeline like when you are starting back at Ringside? What are those conversations like, and how amped are you to get back into that sort of capacity? Was it a thing of like sort of easing back into it? Did it come back to you like straight away? How was that initial, coming back to Ringside that 4 years ago from now?
Yeah. I think it was great. It was like at the time I was at a different job with a lot of like creative and production and stuff like that, but with really like large productions like that costs a lot of money to make commercials and stuff like that and videos for like and all kinds of different things for bigger businesses, like big
So
businesses.
I know who to hit up. Okay.
You know who? Hey, look, man,
Okay.
they made me a millionaire. What can I say? Just kidding. That'll never happen.
You're saying who earned or? There you go. All I had to do was do a Simpsons reference, and we're here.
You know that's my soft spot. So
I know.
But like it was taking all that knowledge from the previous job and like all that experience I had in all these like really large productions. Like Ringside, we don't have like huge productions to do, but like the efficiency that you get from those large productions, like kind of the organization and stuff like that, and the experience you get from those kinds of things. I brought all that back, so I definitely think like I was and also this was kind of after my like in-ring excursions and stuff like that and wrestling for fun and all that. And so there's certain things about wrestling that I've just been, I've had what feels like a life for some, more than a lifetime for some people, like, go into the wrestling business and they're out like 5 years and they never look back. And, for me, it's been like on and off for like 20 years longer even, and different aspects of that and different things I've experienced. I can't complain because wrestling is so beloved. It's so interesting and it's so great. And it continues to evolve, whether we all like it or not. And bringing all that, the idea of that back to Ringside, it's like, yes, I can fit in that same shoe, but you have to like grow and change and adapt with with wrestling the same way that wrestling does, right? Like things are, if you had told me like 10 years ago, like when I was still at Ringside, like, or 15, whenever that was, that Netflix, like it would be on Netflix live streaming, like, 12 years later
like,
or whatever,
first
I would
off,
have been
what's
like,
Netflix?
yeah.
Second off,
they're going to send me a DVD.
Second on, they're going to send me a DVD of the Raw episode.
How are they going to live stream a DVD? Yeah, this is
good question. Yeah. Second, how much is their stock, and can I buy a lot of it right now? So I would be thinking about that. But it's big changes. It's like a lot of different things, and there's a lot of new blood, we'll say, right? Like new characters in wrestling, like a lot of newness at the moment, and you can still. I think it's important to show that you can still appreciate like wrestling along its entire lifespan, right? Like I'm really pumped for the people that are really excited about current modern day things, but I think it's still important to compare and hold those things up against like the classics, like Axis. Excuse me, not geez, what Freudian slip. I saw the spikes. Hawk and Animal, and it's just like these are the greats, like the all-time greats. And if you want to elevate yourself to that position, like or you want to like characters, you should be judging them accordingly. And that's how I think about it, is like who stands up with Hawk and Animal. How does that work? And is modern wrestling as good and as exciting? I would say yes. Right now, like that's the boom period, right? Let's keep with it and see how it goes. That's what I think.
Well, to that point, like I think there's always so much content. Like I think you worded that really perfectly. Like I think I'm of that akin. Like I try and go back. I'm just a traditionalist. I'm a knack for the classics, and I think that's what you should do as well. As if you are a new fan, what I started doing is going back from like the first Manias onwards, and then you get introduced to all these different characters in their biggest sort of showmanship way, and then you can do deep dives on those certain characters in that year and whatnot. I think and then you have that to base it off the modern era and be like, whatever, I'll just go back to the 80s, or if there's nothing good on TV for you. And I think that's always like having that tape library is crucial.
If you can burn through like 8 seasons of a TV show binge watching, or like like watch all 12 episodes of Cobra Kai that came out. Like, you can definitely dedicate some time to, like, even if you have to do it over a few weeks, to if you claim to be a big wrestling fan, if you've never seen some of these like classics, like, go for it. Like, watch this stuff and check it out. See, like you said, like, see what Road Warriors were like at like WrestleMania, whatever. Like, see what the Demolition is like in comparison to Road Warriors. See who else is out there. That's like, yeah, see LOD 2000 is what did it for me.
Hell yeah.
That was I know everyone like talks negatively about that, but that was like, I was like playing wrestling games and stuff when I was in elementary school, but I was like, it wasn't until I got like 11, 12, 13 that I was like, okay, wait, this like absolutely rules. And LOD 2000 was right around that time. And, Hawk and Animal and even Draws. Like, I loved Draws as part of LOD. Like, that we could never make that, unfortunately, but Mattel like signed Draws, and please make us like knock on wood. And LOD Draws, I would love that. That's like one of my number one picks. That's like kind of random and obscure out there.
Magic almost. I'm looking at you. Okay.
I loved LOD. Yeah, Dream Match Figs mentions LOD 2000 VCAs are great, right? So like he's right. I'm all about that. I had those. They're like some of the first Bone Crunchers I had. Like it can't get any cooler than that for sure. So it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. What else do you have to say? There's WCW. What else do you have to say? You can just mention these like things very simply, and the right kind of person is going to hear you and be like, yeah, that stuff rules. And it still does.
Yeah.
With these, Tom, these figures, you all were working in the shadows. Nobody had any clue that this was coming. And I think that's one of the impressive things. And then you drop an in-stock, not a pre-order, just an in-stock order on us. I'm curious, how long has this been in the works? And two, is that sort of the model you see going forward, where you're going to do in-stock drops, or do you see a pre-order at some point in the future for this line?
So there's a reason it's in the shadows. It's because I don't put myself out there as like heavily as a lot of people in a lot of situations do, and it's not a knock to them. Like, I know there are people that need the kind of the social support with respect to that. Like, you show something off and you got to create interest, create buzz. Otherwise, like, maybe just dropping it won't work for them. I don't know. For me, I felt really strongly that would work for us, because, like, Ringside Collectibles is an established brand. It's like there's a need for our first set of characters that we selected. I had a really good feeling it was possible to kind of strike lightning with it a little bit. And it turns out I was thankfully right. But as far as like a model, like an ongoing model, I don't want to sit here and tell you that we're never going to do a pre-order, because I think that's totally possible. Like, but how much fun was it to just have this like drop out of nowhere? You know what I mean? And I think
insane.
The fact we can take advantage of that, I would love to do that again. Like, that's kind of, look at how that happens with like shoe drops and stuff like that. Like, in the modern kind of world of collectors, that collecting is evolving a little bit too, right? So there are wrestling figures. There's always going to be a Ringside. There's always going to be like a Walmart or a Target or whatever. But the approach that these different places can take, that's what'll change, and what can be kind of thought about, and on a case by, at least to your point, like, we're probably going to be thinking about this on a case by case basis. And so there's not a kind of set plan that I would say that I would be like comfortable with saying or anything like that. So don't bank on this idea that like we have a bunch of dates lined up with a bunch of random drops, because that's not what's going on. Or maybe it could be, but what I would say is like, don't settle on one specific idea, and don't be shocked if like there is a pre-order that shows up or something like that. Like, we have a lot of wiggle room with this line.
I got a notification that I banked on it. I'm sorry.
You banked on it? Damn it.
Sorry to interrupt.
Nick, why? Why did you bank?
I already banked on it.
You and me both.
I couldn't help it.
I was like, this is a game changer, though. You're dropping, much wanted characters in stock now in a week or week and a half. They're in your hands. to me, I was just
Turnaround time, man.
blown away. Yeah.
It was fun, right? Like
Yeah.
that was such a cool thing. And usually in most, and that I think is like an advantageous thing for Ringside, like the process that we're working on behind the scenes. I have two things like top priority. Number one is quality, and number two for me is speed. I don't want to wait forever for these. I want them out. I want people to be able to collect them, this century or whatever. And again, that like I say this like with all respect to other, even outside of wrestling, like people that produce like customs or independent line figures and stuff like that. That stuff is hard work. This is also hard work. So is that. We're all in different seats, and I can understand what it's like to have to go through like a longer process, because there are things about these that took a long time and things about these that, didn't take as long as something like a mainstream, toy company might have to deal with. Like we don't have nearly the amount of business red tape, right? Stuff like that. So, and then at a certain point, I say that, but then I'll immediately like 5 things come to mind for me, and I'm like, well, maybe we do, but we keep it really close, really tight. There's things we're still trying to work out and work on, and we just kind of go with it, and that's what happened here. So we kind of went with it. It seemed like these would be the first. There was a little bit of like not a learning curve, but like you got to make sure you're in the right place when you start the process like this, like an action figure line. You know what I mean? And I was just like, how can we do this right? And I think we did it right. And hopefully everyone else feels that way. Well, there's room for improvement, and there's always going to be probably. And I'm all for that too. Let's improve them. Let's have some fun. Let's like release names that we know we can release, and do stuff that we know we can do, and fill those holes, so to speak, in people's collections, or just give them something that like they want to start fresh with. Like I think for some people, if you you're like a Road Warriors fan, you've been out of wrestling, and then all of a sudden like this brings you back into figure collecting, like that, I couldn't hear anything better than that. You know what I mean? Like get people more excited about wrestling figures in general, and Road Warriors for sure is like a great example of names to do that.
100%. Like I think you mentioned it, just to piggyback off of it as well, like the timeline when it comes to producing these. Is there like a set timeline that you guys have when it comes to blueprinting the figure to when you can see it in hand, and maybe, is that something that's going to be a pattern, or is that a case-by-case basis for talent, either 2-pack, solo pack, whatever the case?
Yeah, I think it's a little all over the place at the moment in a good way. I think definitely there's some situations that it's a case-by-case basis. And I think in other situations, there's things and people that, and like characters or whatnot that we have lined up that we can be a little more time sensitive, or whatever you want to say about it, and maybe do it a little bit faster, so it's really going to depend. And I think like a year from now, like we should mark it, and I'll come back on and we'll say like, look, this is what I was saying a year ago. This is where we are now. And you'll see there's going to be more stuff this year. I know that seems kind of wild, like after these, but the plan is to have even more out, have as much as possible, as soon as possible. And that's kind of my thought with it,
That's not crazy, Tom. Hook it into my veins. Give me more.
You know where the tourniquet, okay? You know where,
I'm trying
where to do it.
I'm trying for everyone to be like, hey, y'all got any of them wrestling figures, man? That's what I want.
I mean, that's where we're at, because people want to know, when's the next one? Is it going to be just a single character release? Like this was just the Road Warriors, or will there be sets, or will people are wondering, where does this go from here?
Good. Imagine that. The last time there was a drop here, like we weren't wondering anything a week before that, because we didn't even know it existed. And now that it exists, it's going to be pretty regular wondering, and I think that's okay. So now you can like kind of go about your day with that excitement of anything being possible, and we can like discuss it and have fun with it, and I can hear what everyone's like number one picks are that they'd like to see in the line. I'm all about that. Gary Hart. Yeah.
Hey, I'll take a Gary Hart.
All right, me too.
Yeah, those Great Mooders just came out.
That's right.
That would be wouldn't they fit together so nicely? Also,
Damn.
but yeah, it's like there's no there is a plan, but there's no plan. Is the best way I can say. I know that's like super contradictory, but just if you saw these and you immediately like felt trust in me because of these, then maintain that trust, because I still, we're working on it behind the scenes for sure, without a doubt.
I mean, yeah, another kind of question I think that to have to that is, can we expect to see like solo releases and stuff like that? Is there a plan
right, yeah.
for, like what can we start to see when it comes to the releases of these packs? And is there gonna be a norm going forward, or is it gonna be more of a, I mean, the best rule is to have no rules?
Yeah, I would say maybe I would like to, get it to a point where it feels a little more normal to us in a way that you can expect it regularly, but I don't want to say like once every 2 months or once every month or once every this or that. Like, I don't know if we're going to do it that way. If we have something that, let's say like we're ahead of schedule on something and we can get it out, I want to get it out. I don't want to like leave it, I don't want to wait until, we have like a gap up here a year and a half from now or 6 months from now or whatever. Like I'm looking to like get things out there. But at the same time, if there's enough going on and kind of the stars align with it, and there's like a cadence we can have with it that makes sense, like we may never say it out loud, but sure, it's probably possible that it's there. But as of right now, there's not like a set cadence or anything like that. But I can't stress enough, like I want to get stuff out. Like, so we're working on getting stuff out, and the sooner we have things squared away on our end, the better, and the sooner they're in your hand. We have a great relationship with like the factory on these. Like, I've already like been able to, and that's the other thing. Like, people have told me different issues they've had with the figures. I'm able to like go to the factory and tell them like, it was working out this way. This needs to be fixed. This is like that. Like, and they're just like super responsive. We communicate on a daily basis. They're great people in Hong Kong, and I just like really enjoy communicating and working with them, and they're really into making sure this is a enjoyable success for everyone. And so all the ingredients are all there. It's just a matter of like, okay, when is it time to eat soup? So we're getting to the soup.
Tom. I'm waiting for that cookbook to come out. Justin, I want to swing it to you real quick, but I do have one question that was on the top of my brain. We mentioned Gary Hart, or I mentioned. I don't want to throw you guys under the bus. I mentioned Gary Hart. You're welcome. Yo, what's up, REB as well? How the hell are you doing? Thanks for stopping by. I was wondering if there's maybe a pattern we can see with. Is it going to be just wrestler roles? Is there going to be personnel roles, like for say manager roles or something like that? Like I can think of like 100 different managers, probably not 100. Don't test me. 100 different managers, just off the top of my head. Slick Money. Like I would love to see a fully fledged figure of. So there are these characters, and I do wonder if that's a plan maybe for you guys to do some of the outer ring, people that we see on TV, or is it just the in ring sort of thing for now?
They're out there, right? Like we're talking about Gary Hart. We can talk about Slick. We can talk about like Paul Ellering. We can talk about Jim Cornette. Like they're all those like huge names are there. And yeah, I don't think anyone's off the table for us. I think if it's possible and it makes a lot of business sense, and that people are really, it's like in demand, and people really want that person or character, and what we're doing to judge that in the background makes sense. Totally. I don't see any reason it couldn't happen. When or what is a different story. Like, not everyone is up and available for this kind of thing at the moment. Like, you never know. I don't mean to make it so gray, but it is a little gray. And that's not just like, it's not just for you guys. It's like for us, it's also a bit gray, Yeah. And so I would say, yeah, definitely that's possible. Managers are not off the table. Like older characters are not off the table. Even like someone that might be a little bit more obscure that looks really cool, I think is on the table. Like there's room for all kinds of things and aspects of discussion, in my opinion. So,
Are you doing the talent wrangling on this?
I'm involved, but not personally. So at the moment, it's kind of a collaborative effort. There's some upper management, of course, involved that takes care of a little bit of the talent relation. And if I have to get involved in that, I will. But for the most part, I think it's like probably my best position to worry less about contract negotiations and worry more about figure production. So
If Tom has to get involved, he's
Yep.
Hey,
not gonna look good. Not gonna look pretty.
It's more like John's checkbook, right?
hey, if you want to call it that, you can call it that. But I think making sure that it's like a good fit for the person you're talking to is really important, and we want to make sure it's forget about like being like beneficial to whoever that talent might be, more like that it's like as exciting to them as it is to us, I would say, or their estate or whoever. Like there are a lot of different figures out there right now, so these people get approached like pretty regularly for all kinds of different things, aside from what we're doing. So I don't, man, I don't know what more could you ask for than something that really excites people. That's the way that I'm kind of thinking of it. And if it seems exciting to them, it seems exciting to us. I say let's do it.
It feels like a Royal Rumble return, this draw.
Yeah.
It's like, hell.
It is. That's
this...
what a comparison. It is a little like that. Yeah.
Dude. Justin, please.
You started with a standard and a variant.
Mm-hmm.
Do you expect that to be sort of what you do going forward? Because we hear make the most of your molds.
Yep.
I mean, just about everybody's got other looks, with similar attire. Is that something you expect going forward?
For sure. I think we're really lucky with Road Warriors because there's a lot of, there have been a lot of reactions to the versions of the Road Warriors we did, right? Like I'll say, like when we first started this, like I didn't even think we were going to be able to do the red and black, and so I was like really just focused on these like international versions, which I always kind of preferred personally.
I dig those. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, man, but
That's
those
cool.
are like. Those are just pretty to me. I love those to bits, man.
So nice, yeah. I like the mix and match of the gear, and like the additional face paint the animal has, like with like the yellow in there. It just I'm totally a fan of, like, because that was for me like right when I was first kind of reading about this stuff. So like to see Road Warriors in like the Japanese magazines and stuff, like the wrestling magazines. And seeing a match like here or there or whatever, like that easily like led into LOD 2000 for me. So yeah, I'm all about like different gears, and we were very lucky with Road Warriors. We had, Ringside's photographer, his name was Bob Mulrennan, who's like a legendary wrestling photographer. Unfortunately, he's not with us any longer, but he just sent me in the mail like some DVDs and just like CD-ROMs full of like just like tons of Road Warrior photos from over the years that he had taken, and like just video footage of matches he had. And the good news for us is like we could use basically any of that, so the room for the Road Warriors to have all these different looks and different colors, it's out there in ways that I don't think many people like quite realize. So I understand the people that want like them to look exactly like they looked at WrestleMania, whatever, but at the same time, like we want to make sure we're doing something that is true to what the kind of the materials we have available, and so yeah, I think there's definitely room for variance in the future. Is it going to be is it going to happen every single time? I could see it like something down the line gets a re-release with a variant or something like that. I could also see it that variants do come out like right away, so I would say as far as things that are like planned at the moment, I've seen a mix of both that I can think of. So yeah, it's out there. It's definitely, and it's possible. And hopefully you like one of the two versions or three, perhaps, whatever it is. So if you just pick the one you like.
I don't like either of them. I love the two of them. I love the two of them. Oh, bang. There you go. Getting your good graces. How was like going out and going out of your way and talking to someone like Bill, like who is like rich in wrestling photography history. I feel like he is so well known in the space, maybe in the photography space at
Yeah,
least.
yeah.
I could be a nerd about it, and I'll happily be a nerd about it unashamedly.
Mhm.
But how were those talks with him, getting him on board as well in the first place? Do you have any initial memories talking to him?
Bob was an interesting guy, but he was a really good friend and he loved wrestling. He really did. And so, as far as like deep diving into like what it was, like getting him on board and stuff like that, that wasn't really necessary because he just like
Yeah.
lived, slept, ate, and breathed number one Raising Canes and then number two
Oh.
professional wrestling. So, or maybe I could reverse the roles because I know he loved both. But
I haven't had Raising Canes in a hot minute, and
yeah, me
I
either.
kind
Me
of
either.
I kind of hate you for bringing that up. What the hell?
Well, you live with Hungry Jacks, or as I like to call it,
This is
Multiverse Burger King. So you're lucky. You're the lucky
Into
one.
the burgerverse,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
And we have
for
Hungry
sure.
Jacks at the forefront. Yes.
So I'm a little jealous of that, but I understand. But yeah, he was cool as hell, man. And I knew him also from I met him the first day I started working also. And always
Yeah.
like we had such a good relationship. Like it's like, you have those friends where you like pick up right where you left off.
Sure,
It
man,
was,
yes, yeah.
that was him. And it was a tough loss, for him, not only like not having him around, but, him not to be able to see like how much he helped with these and how they actually turned out. But the spirit of what is good about pro wrestling, like he was full of whatever that spirit was, and
Yes,
I
man.
think the days that like I lose my mind over wrestling or I'm like unhappy with it, or I'm just like everybody else. Like I've done it, I've seen it, I've all these things, and I'm still like a fan at the core, just like most wrestlers all the way down to fans all say that they're fans. Like that can be like a taxing thing because wrestling, you really have to like breathe it 24/7. And I think he was the spirit and the embodiment of what it's like to breathe wrestling 24/7 in a good way. And so that definitely came out through not only like the incredible like materials he had and all this like amazing photography he did, but also in for me, like how these figures turned out. I want to feel like these are coming to everyone in a good way,
That fandom's kind of infectious, If you see someone with a
Yeah.
bug like that, you
Yeah.
can't help but to like either one, get happy for them, or two, feel the same.
For
Like
sure.
I don't know if that's just me, but it is an infectious like energy. If I can stumble and stutter my words out. But Dream Match Figs, our beautiful showrunner on this show, okay, has a question. I think it's a pretty decent question. I like this one. What talent would you like to do that you're comfortable mentioning?
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
And that could be in the works. That could be maybe later down. That's not in the works. But hey,
That could
give
be
us a
Gary
little-
Hart.
That could be Gary
It
Hart.
could be Gary Hart. I
Fingers
will add
crossed.
that to my list of things I want to do.
I'm the only person asking for Gary Hart, and I think maybe us three. Okay, I'll put it on
Yeah.
that. Maybe us four.
That would be cool. How about this? I'll name some names if you guys promise to like name some names after me. That makes it a
Yes,
little
man.
bit.
I have a few
makes
names.
it a little bit easier for me. So
Just a few.
Out there, I have
just like 20.
we mentioned Jim Cornette before. That's like huge. That one's on my list, of course. That's like long overdue in my opinion. I'm a big fan of some of the other names that have been like kind of out in the atmosphere, let's put it this way. I learned and woke up to all this in the Attitude Era, right? So like,
Sure, yeah.
Alex Wright is on my list, of course, like
Right.
of one I would love to do, like the Hardcore and Crash Holly. Like I would love to do them. Like that.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
like way that one of those, like most of all, I wish that was something that we were looking at in a way. Who else? Anyone from like WCW, WWE, Disco Inferno would be fun. I don't disagree with that. All those names like
Conan.
Jeez, yeah. Conan would be great. Laparca I loved in WCW. I think that one is like a super easy one to be thinking of. Raven, yep, also a good choice. This guy knows.
Midnight Express.
Midnight Express, yep.
Rock and Roll Express.
Rock and Roll Express, that would be good.
Oh.
Like, let's dive into Smoky Mountain. Why not?
Yep.
Dude, yeah, let's get what is it? Glenn Jacobs and Al Snow, that one tag team. Dude, I know my stuff a little bit.
Sabu.
Yeah, for sure. You want to go like
Sabu.
super Sabu would be a good one. Chronic, I've had like mentioned to me a bunch of times. You want to go super old school. I always wanted to do Gorgeous George. I think that's wild. Bobo Brazil, I think would be really cool. Just like any name out there, if it makes sense, like I'm into it. So,
Stan
but
Hansen.
like Stan Hansen, why not? Blackjack Mulligan never got that Jack's Classic Superstars. Maybe there's something we can do about that. You never know.
Buddy Roberts.
Yep. There's
Finish those Freebirds.
Stu Hart with a dungeon playset. How about that?
Oof.
You know, well, you could. Is that a possibility? I don't know.
Dude,
maybe it is.
Please. I mean, how my wrestlers gonna get trained? I got a whole roster that I just don't know any lockups, not even know how to do a figure 4 freaking arm thing, dude. Some of these people.
Yeah, they need the help for sure.
Yeah.
How many times have you heard Dr. Death?
You're maybe the third.
Okay.
I've definitely heard it, but not as often as some of the other names. Yeah, so
I'd have $3, but it's weird that it happened 3 times, sort of thing. Every time I heard it. How about Bruiser Brody, like Jack Briscoe?
Dude,
I have like a whole like Word doc. Okay, I will send you after. No,
sure, I'll take the Word doc. Why not? Yeah, Great Kabuki.
Give me some WCCW. Give me the Sportatorium playset. You know, like I'll take
Fritz.
Yeah. Why not? You know,
just do all the Von Erichs. Yeah,
this is like a Von Erich 8-pack or something.
You asked for
including
names.
Lacey.
We're so sorry. We're so sorry. We're giving like 50 names.
No, that's all right. I mean, it's like there's no confirmation on any of these names, right? We're just kind of throwing them out there, and I'm completely okay with doing that. I know that's
Dramatico
a fun
Rising.
thing for everyone to do. Dude, if I, you never know. If I feel like ever being no longer semi-retired, where I live right now, the closest wrestling school is very far away, and that's the only thing that's holding me back from training at the moment.
That's fair.
So, I'm a little bit lazy with it, unfortunately. But hopefully the time comes that
do some vignettes. Or something like that, and then you get AW WWE reach out and be like, "Oh, we'll just fly you out everywhere."
I'm sure they would be jumping at that opportunity. They would not be able to. They'd be like, "We need you to come down and main event WrestleMania right now." I'd be like,
Ringside.
Little do you know, I'm already going to be there. Yeah, so perfect. But yeah, like the love for wrestling hasn't changed, and I think like the names are out there and it's ripe, and I think we're trying to build like a kind of a tooling parts library a little bit, to make sure we have the options to do some of these things with a little more cost effectiveness, which I think is good, because it's not just about like what we're taking in, it's about like making sure they're affordable for everyone. Like, I thought these Road Warriors came out with like pretty decent price point compared to the rest of the market, so that was also something that was really exciting about them, especially like when you look at some of the secondary market prices, which are nuts. Like, you guys know, I've always been kind of putting the boots to the secondary market. I'm not like a huge fan of kind of the price gouging. I think I get collector pricing and stuff like that, but I want it to be fun. Yeah, like scalping is not that fun. It kills the hobby for people a little bit. So anything I can do in my position to kind of water that down, as much as there might be someone out there that hates me about it, like that's okay, because I think it's doing more good than harm to have this be like a fun, non-stressful thing for people,
Oh, your paycheck's in the mail, Dino, by the way. I'm making sure you get your pay cut for writing that comment. Thank you very much. But yeah, like, that's a very, very fair point. And it's fun to just speculate too. I mean, we said this before a little bit. We mentioned it a little tiny, small smidgen bit. But like wrestling fans are just fantasy bookers out the wazoo. So I mean, this is
Sure.
we're just gonna be sitting here, even if we don't want to do it. It's gonna be 2 a.m. We can't sleep. Damn, I'd really love a Mortis figure. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
for sure.
You know, it's just
Oh.
out of nowhere. I know. I just wanted to
Blood
get that in
runs
there,
cold.
but- dude. Please give me a Glacier figure. Give me all the.
That would rule. There's
I would love it. Yeah, I would love everything.
What's the challenge, Tom? Because we've got a company that owns most of the history of wrestling.
yeah.
How do you thread that needle between like popular attires and what's legally available to you?
The legal question is kind of a weird one because I think that's like again, like not to say you like overuse the term gray, but it is pretty gray. And you know, I think what that comes down to for us is making sure that it's successful across all of our figure lines. You know what I mean? So are we gonna like do John Cena's heel turn figure? Certainly not. You know, like so like if it seems obvious, the likelihood is that you should put it out of your mind. Like we're not going to stomp on anyone else's like intellectual property rights. I think is really important to show that. But at the same time, like if the name is there, like, you know, we're going to use that name and look at all the individual possibilities with that name. And it's like case by case basis. Probably there's no, you know, you can't look in like the U.S. Constitution or whatever and find the rules for wrestling action figure rights as much as a lot
No
of
one can
people
look
would
in
love
the
that.
Constitution anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're gonna get me in trouble.
You're gonna get us all in trouble.
I'm
Yeah.
kidding. I said that. No one else said that. Just
Yeah,
me.
you said it, but you know you're
The
telling
Australian
the truth.
said it, yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
How, yeah, I think that's really what a lot of people are wondering, and I guess how much does Japan help? Because I feel like it helped a lot here.
Oh, you might be right. Yeah, it did. It does help, and it's a different situation. And you know, wrestlers have made appearances over the years in a lot of different places with a lot of different gear and gimmicks. So if we can find something that works and makes sense, that's a little bit more directly related to something that people might want, I think that works. But we have great partnerships with Mattel, WWE, with Jazzwares, AEW. Like the last thing we're looking to do is harm or cause issue with those partnerships, and I think that's really important. So you know, if there are people that are disappointed that, you know, Animal's Mohawk didn't turn out the way you thought on the first run, like maybe there's something else in the future. Maybe that doesn't happen, but you have an Animal, right? And his Mohawk absolutely effing rules either way, whether you like it or not. So, you know, it's like all these things are going to be a little bit all over the place. And they're also, you know, as much as I'd like to dive into like major details over it, there's number one, like as I said, it's a case by case basis, so it's not, you know, all fully in my head. And number two, like when it does get to that point, it's not something that, you know, as a business you really kind of dump out on the table for everyone. You know, that those things are those kinds of like contract negotiations or whatnot and all this stuff, like that's kind of above the level of like my pay grade in being on this show. You know what I mean? Like you can't.
You can't just list off every contract negotiation.
Dude, I mean, if only it would make all of our lives with respect to patience a lot easier, right? Because then like we wouldn't have to be patient. We'd be like, we know everything. Yeah. You have it worse than anybody else. So yeah.
Say Dino Bravo. Say Dino Bravo.
I'll say Dino Bravo, but what that means, I can't say. You know, so yeah, it's there's, I think a good rule of thumb to think about with respect to that is case by case basis. So if you have a really specific look in mind that you're like, oh crap, I really hope they hit that. Like, I would say, you know, I hope we do it for you too. I don't want to Certainly, I don't want to disappoint anybody, but I will say that like the figures are going to be of the quality that, you know, in my opinion, you should probably be happy with them anyways. Like if you want to hold out hope for Mattel to get the Road Warriors in like 10, 15, 20 years or whatever, or, you know, however long it takes then hold out hope. And I'm not gonna like break down your door and take the money out of your wallet for these. But Justin seems pretty happy with his sets.
Pretty happy.
So I would say if you want to give him a shot, give him a shot. You can always transfer him off to somebody else. All right, Nick. Yeah, hey, look.
They're all ones.
You made me feel like I need to get my pole out and start dancing.
Yeah. Dude, you're going to pimp me out in this episode. It's going to happen, guys. Welcome to Figure Friday. Pimp Friday it is. JRE, I'm getting you so in trouble. I apologize. JRE, Pickfed, Nick Storm. How the hell are you doing, JRE? Welcome. One thing I do want to bring up, just from hearing you, I've written a few tidbits, right? And I think one thing I do like about this line is how dark it just got in my room. I don't know how that happened. No vitamin D for me anymore. But
Cyclone's revenge.
It's come back, dude. I slammed the tornado, and it's one that slams me back there. It needs the receipt. But I think one thing there is to note here is this is super reminiscent of the Jakks Classic Superstars to me, where. And the name, it sort of isn't lost on me in that fact where you guys are going out of your way and getting these talents signed, very much like the Classic Superstars line in its early goings. So I was wondering, was there any kind of influence from other lines, and did you take more influence from other lines to help, I guess, kind of produce this, and where also did the names come from?
Geez. So, I think probably all, the elites are really hot right now. The unmatched and unrivaled, those are also really hot. There are things I took as influence from both lines that I want to make sure that we hit. I think that's really important. And like I said, like matching the figures up, like I know Jazzware is like slightly larger scale and Mattel like slightly smaller compared to Jazzware. So like what's best for us, but to kind of nail it right in the middle, then like everyone's confused and nobody will complain anymore, and now we're all one big happy like toy family. That's kind of what I was thinking. That said, as far as like the name goes and like the influence of like the Jakks Classic Superstars and stuff like that, I don't think there was some big like eureka moment. We worked on it and in the background at Ringside like you would anywhere else, and it came time to figure that out, and it just seemed like the right approach. And we were able to nail down an unused wrestling related word for the title that really like fits really well with what it was. And it just seemed like, it would be a really good way to move forward with that line name, and nothing crazy. I have to emphasize that it wasn't some kind of like, it's not that I've always been like a strong advocate for making sure that you're making figures in like, I love all like the Hasbros out there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the like the LJN type figures, but I grew up on larger scale figures, and also like I was there at the launch of Elites with Mattel. Like I was still with Ringside when that happened. Like I was with the end of the Jakks figures. Like I know how important scale is to people, and that kind of thing, and consistency, and just making sure that like you're able to play. Forget just like collectors for a minute. Like even just kids playing. The most fun you can have is when all your figures kind of match, I think. And to me, that's pretty simple sentiment. And to me, that was a really important part of, making sure that this happened is like, what can we do here? And it just kind of worked out. So no crazy, like, no crazy revelation moments or anything like that, but I definitely think like it worked out in a way that, pays like a little bit of homage to some of those previous lines, and make sure that we sit well with the current lines. Blah, blah, blah,
Nah.
blah, 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 on and on and on and on.
No, like
when you put it like that, now
Yeah.
I was.
I think
Now
it's
I get
interesting though that you were able to take some of what I love about Jazzwares is popping them at the waist and mixing and matching, and I'd love to do that with this animal and get a hawk with the the gold, just kind of an homage to that SummerSlam.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's one of the reasons I love Jazzware so much is, you know, you can mix and match, you can play around with it. You don't have to
for sure.
boil, crack, you know, get your screwdriver out to play around. So
the toolbox.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, when you were constructing these, you know, you talked a little bit about taking what you liked out of both, you know, how did you sort of prioritize what was important?
I know I sound like probably a broken record at this point, but scale was the key. Like I really think like that to me, as far as like the parts, interchangeable parts like soft goods and stuff like that, the accessories, those kind of things are a staple of wrestling figures at this point, right? Like you can't. I'm of the mind that you can't really have a wrestling figure line without that stuff. Like they're, you know,
Justin's having his own fig fed over there, dude.
And they're fine after falling.
Oh, good, perfect.
Advice on screen.
Excellent.
Jazz
yeah.
hands.
So while I was like developing these, one of the sets of figures, it was like I can't remember which AEW figures I had, but the Mattel figures I was like really kind of comparing these to were the Bushwhackers, like from one of the Elite sets, I think. And I was just like, you know, they got to look bigger than the Bushwhackers at least, you know? So I know some people have been like, well, Animal's arms aren't as big. And, you know, he was a huge guy. And it's like, yeah, he was a huge guy at different points of his career. But it's like the priority to me was like matching the good reference material that we had in a way that makes a good action figure. So, and also like, gives us the opportunity to maybe recycle some parts in the future. And so priority with respect to that was like making sure it wasn't just like a one-off thing for us is like very important, but also making sure it's good. Just making sure it looks good, making sure it'll match well. Yeah, you know, you might think his arms are a little more, the scale is all over the place in a lot of the lines that you are in love with. And I think it was important for us to kind of match that all over the place-ness of it, you know, and I don't think, to me, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it really just, again, like not to repeat myself, but that like blending together of all these things, like was the best way to do it and the way for it to turn out as kind of cool as possible. So, is that like kind of what you meant, or like?
No, that's exactly.
Yeah.
So
not at all.
You definitely
Cool,
you talked about quality too, though.
Yeah.
And you know, I've been on the forums. I've seen, you know, some of the people mentioned like the arms being, you know, on the opposite arm or whatever.
Yeah.
And
so that was
something I went through. I fixed it on a Hawk, you know, Animal, it's whatever. But, you know, like,
well, you know, you can say what it is on Animal. It's the tattoos are printed like, you know, in a way that we wouldn't love. I think we got very lucky that the bicep has, you know, kind of minimal difference. It's there, but like for most people, you know, they're not going to notice it. I think, that's something I'm advocating for as a running change. I hope it happens. I want to make sure that's fixed for any future releases that use that part. And, you know, I think that's definitely possible. As I said, like our relationship with the factory is really good. I'm certainly like a little miffed that it was missed the first time around, but thankfully, like, these are just so kind of on point with how they should be that I think it worked out with respect to, you know, the initial release. Let's say that, you know, so, but it's fair. I'm not above like criticisms. I'm like, let me know. Like someone, I did have even one report of someone with a Hawk and his tongue falling out, which I was like, whoa, how'd that happen?
Really?
Yeah. Wow. Believe that. So, you know, there's,
still there.
Yeah, mine too. And I even like I tried to pull on it, like, oh, maybe I can get it out, and but it's not happening.
It's like your real tongue. You can't quite pull it out unless it falls off. You know, like that one customer.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
I mean, speaking of tongues falling out, you know, this
you.
guy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've seen that happen.
That's a great Suzuki. I've seen everything once I see that. No, but like, Hello, Governor, by the way. A New Jack would be cool, dude. Billy Kidman,
would be
ICP,
cool.
Oddities. We got some more names out there.
Man, I love the oddities, but like I kind of wish like ICP had nothing to do with them back in the day because I just have a hard time with ICP. So maybe that's a lower priority for me on my list.
I get you there.
But I obviously like they're also part of it all, so maybe that is something to consider. I'm not gonna say no. I'm gonna say no to hardly anything. So
Well, I've seen you say no to one, which rightfully so.
I think that. Yeah, I think I know which one.
Yeah.
About.
Next Storm. We can't make that. We just can't make it. The
I just saw it at the beginning of the show.
Oh, hey, that's off air, okay? Well, that's not revealed yet. That's got to be a mystery drop out of nowhere, okay?
Nick, just stay out of jail, man. And then maybe it's still possible. Just stay out of jail. Just behave yourself, all right?
I can't stop Nick is in the name. I have to nick all these figures from the wrestling figure stores. Like I go to Target, I go to my local toy shops, I nick it, dude. It's in the name. Best advice, thank you. I do have some questions though. And one thing before I ask, I think like you mentioned a Jim Cornette, dude. I don't know who makes his figures now. I think I know who it is, but I feel like there's such more like representation that could be done for Jim Cornette in his figures, because I know that's a big selling point with his podcast and with his Jim Cornette experience and all this stuff. FTC. I was gonna say like it reminds me of that Jack's mold, and I feel like that something like that, like a properly articulated Cornette, beautiful. Oh my god! And I mean, people disagree with him, but hey, he was a staple as a manager in the '90s and stuff like that. You can pair him with whoever you want. Freaking Vader, I'm probably gonna, and it's gonna be a fun time. Or you get like a Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, more fantasy booking.
Yep.
If I had a Cornette figure, it would be with my Target Vader Ultimate with hands down.
Yes, dude.
So I would put them together, even though that's not like quite accurate. I'd be like, okay, like by the look. That's what I would want them to.
Yeah, it's Mania, whatever the hell, right? So I'll take it.
So.
Well, Tom, I want him with my Ringside Collectibles Unsanctioned Classic Superstars Midnight Express.
Listen. If you ever come across him, just make sure you tell him. That's all I would say. That's a great. Cornette, Jim Cornette, one of like the all-time great wrestling business minds, in my opinion, and I love the guy. I always will, and I've been lucky enough even to like while I was training, go to a seminar of his, and like just to like hear him kind of critique what I was doing in a match, and hear him like just kind of nail exactly what I was trying to. I was able to cut,
mother fluffer.
Dude, I cut a promo in front of him, and he was so complimentary of me of like the promo, but then like knew exactly what kind of character I was doing, and it was just like I felt like I nailed it. You know what I mean? And so to hear something like that from a person like that, they're always. I don't know him personally or anything like that.
He's like a territories man, that hard.
Yeah,
like,
for
so
sure.
If he sees something, he's like, picks that like more sort of pageantry. Yeah.
He's an all-time wrestling great, and no matter what you think of him or what you would say, you can't deny that. And so I'm 100% of the mind that like new Jim Cornette action figures would be amazing. So,
Dang, he lives 15 minutes for me. All right. Well, I just clipped that, and I'm sending it to Dream Match to hand on USB to Jim Cornette when he sees it. But I have some questions pertaining to this line. Justin, you were gonna say?
No, I just said Dream Match. Go make the trip. Drop the contract.
I'm gonna make one point and just say, please don't harass anybody. Like, don't show up to anyone's houses uninvited. If you're at an autograph signing where you paid Jim Cornette actual money and you want to say, Ringside Collectibles Unsanctioned is, a cool line, maybe you should get involved. And he'll say, I'll take it under advisement. That's good enough for me. Otherwise, like, probably just leave him alone and let him, exist.
Okay. Yeah, we should probably do it. We should probably do more.
And that goes for anyone, even aside from Jim Cornette. So
I think that's fair.
That's a good point. Actually, show up to my house.
Show up to Nick's house.
I seek
take
validation.
take the 21-hour flight and just get down there, and
Hungry Jack's on the way. It's fine.
Hungry Jack's will be on the way. He's not going to provide it for you.
This is
you're on
that's
your
not
own.
all accounted for. Yeah, we have accommodation, but not Hungry Jack's. Okay. But I have a question, and I think Justin and I are both curious about this. But are there any issues that have come to the forefront that you weren't maybe expecting when creating this wave?
Not more typical than usual. I think like all figures have like a QA process, and there are things. It's like we were just talking about the arms. Like there's stuff that you're kind of annoyed that it went out the door that way and nobody caught it or whatever. Like you did catch it, but you couldn't adjust it in time by the time like something prints. Like this is normal stuff. I don't think like we released anything that had legs in place of arms. Mr. McGregor with an arm for a leg for an arm, or an arm for a leg. Like we didn't do that, but there's stuff I would like to improve, and as I said, like there's always going to be room for improvement. And as far as like challenges and stuff go, like we're up for the challenge for sure, whatever it may be. So you got to be ready for that if you're making action figures, I think.
They just pose around so well. You can play around, and they're smooth. I like how the joints, are super smooth.
Sure,
you don't always get that, but these are very nice. And then somebody had asked,
Pick Fed, how smooth are these? I'm on the fence with them. You can get off the fence if you'd like, because you're seeing right now how posable they are. Here's Animal doing the splits, I broke off the leg. Just kidding. I can pop it right back on.
That's a feature.
And that's a feature. That is not a bug, Plenty posable, plenty flexible. Lots of articulation. There's this, whatever this does, if you're like Justin's into that.
Yep.
This also, whatever this does, he's into that too. Totally works. But yeah, I think we're into it. They're super posable. 360 rotation on the boots. Like, we have all the elements that are very important to people. Even the knee bend with the, I was a little worried about the knee pads and like what it would be like to bend the knee, but it works. Like it's a nice flexible plastic.
Oh, man, yeah.
I've heard people on like 3-4 different videos say like, I don't want to take these knee pads off because I'll never get the tabs back on. You can take them off. Like they've been tested pretty well. They come off pretty easily and they go back on pretty easily. You don't have to worry about it might take you a second or two, but you're not going to be spending like 8 hours trying to put your knee pads back on. We wanted to get some new tech because I know people have had figures in the past where I just put it back on in a second. Like it wasn't even like,
you weren't even focusing. You were talking.
I wasn't even paying any attention.
Okay, man.
You can tell people who like wrestling figures made these, says Dream Match Figs. I appreciate that, man. You're right. I do like wrestling figures. There are too many in my house, which is a little exhausting sometimes. But at the same time, like I'd be lying if I said I didn't like them. And
hey Tom,
of
take
course.
a look at this.
That's
God. And
anytime
that's
someone shows me something
table.
like that, it's like my nightmare. I wake up at like 3 a.m. in a cold sweat thinking like, oh no, these all need to be in a box so I don't have to see them.
You've enabled this, man.
I know.
You and your unboxing videos. And
don't worry, I pay the price for it. So, for sure.
I'm just imagining after you unbox a video, just put it down on a table and just leave it there. Just compile. It's like a pyramid afterwards.
You're imagining that, or are you filming me?
I didn't know if I could say the filming part, but yeah, that. Yeah, contractually not allowed to.
No, articulation is better than this.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I have a great character, but
yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
Was that Johnny Cage?
No, close.
Nick Bockwinkel?
That's Das Wunderkind.
Yes, it's Nick Bockwinkel.
Alex Das Wunderkind, dude. Hell yeah, that's actually Fallout Boy. That's actually radioactive, man. Bang. I'm rewatching Simpsons right now, so you called me at a great time, Tom.
Is there
I
is
wanted
there
to
ever a
ask,
time not to be watching Simpsons? I don't know.
right? You can
That
just
would be
pick
what
it
I
up
would
whenever
say.
you left. I mean,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. It's like one of those friends you haven't seen in a long time. Pick it up
Mhm,
where you
mhm.
left off. But I want to ask about the knee pad tech. Where did
Yeah.
the idea come from to have like your own staple kind of mechanism? You know what I mean? Because I
I
feel
wouldn't
like
say we were
the
thinking that. Sorry, go ahead.
no,
Continue.
no, please cut me off if you can at any point. No, it's for my own good sometimes. Okay,
No,
I
it's
no.
okay. I would
Um,
say I wouldn't know. I wouldn't say like we were thinking so far as like, oh, here's like some amazing new tech of removable knee pads.
yeah,
But like, there have been people in the past that have made the mention of knee pads being removable, being important to them. Someone in house that was working on these like with us, you know, on the team. I won't say who. I'm trying to keep the names like at a minimum, but
it was me.
it was Nick, obviously. And then Justin right after was like, "Hey, what if we had removable knee pads?" I was like, "Great idea." And
Yeah.
then
Now
Nick
I
and
get the hate
Justin,
mail.
now hey guys, these two knew about Unsanctioned way before you all did. How does that feel? How does that feel?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, man.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
But yeah,
Send
it
our
was
T-shirts.
Where can I pick one up? Seriously, I only have like
I don't
3
even have
black
a
shirts.
T-shirt. Imagine that.
Can't
So
believe this.
yeah, it was just a idea that worked out, I think. And someone was like, yeah, what about removable knee pads? And the factory was like, let's do it this way. And I was a little skeptical of it, but when I got kind of the first protos to mess with, I was like, this actually works like really great. Like this is something we can keep in the future. So it may not be every figure that has them, but I'd like to get a couple different styles out there. But you know, for these, works out pretty nicely.
Yeah, like if anything, it's I think like a mechanism signifier. I feel like the Jazzwares
Yeah.
figures, like they were unique and they popped off the waist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like these figures, like that's like that sort of uniqueness. Like you guys have a little like, which is something I didn't even think of removable knee pads, but it sounds like a game changer, honestly.
Yeah.
Like
think?
because I don't want to have to keep bopping off and boiling my figure parts as well.
Yeah.
So I mean that like in of itself just helps a ton.
Yeah, if you're into the kind of mix and match and the like, you know, offhand Lego system that wrestling figures have in that way, and kind of breaking it all down, yeah, I would say it definitely works and helps. And there'll be more. There'll be more in the future, definitely. This is not the last of the removable knee pads.
What's one piece of tech that you also see? You know, you talk about knee pads.
Mm-hmm.
What's something else that you'd like to improve, or you know, we might see in the future that you think could be improved that maybe no one's thinking about yet?
I don't know if there's too much out there that has like a huge room for improvement. Like I said, like I think elites are like amazing toys at the moment, especially like, I don't mean to rag like other toy lines and stuff like that, but I'm not nearly as impressed with like Marvel figures or like comic book figures and stuff like that as I am with wrestling figures. I'm just not. I think those are cool things, but I think like what Mattel does and what Jazzwares does, it just is. It's like incomparable, you know. So there's a lot to live up to with respect to that.
It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Insane. It's absolutely nuts. There's nothing like it. And would I say that like I would, you know, do I have like the idea in mind that I would like improve that kind of stuff? Like, man, I don't know if some of it needs to be improved really, but I'll say that like I feel pretty good about the scale of our interchangeable hands. I think those are like decent size, and you know, in a way that looks really nice. I think kind of more mold, like the tabs on the buckles on the boots right here, like kind of more molded plastic than not. I think on certain things is kind of a cool thing, because sometimes that, you know, you can kind of sacrifice this for that and something gets left off and it's like, oh well, that's kind of disappointing. Like no matter how good it is, you always end up something maybe being disappointing here or there. Galore, what's good? Yeah, that
Shoulder
kind of stuff.
pads are unreal.
Yeah, they turned out so nicely. I love the shoulder pads on these.
Cloth goods shoulder pads on the next one.
That would be.
What does that even mean?
Yeah,
Real
I don't know.
spikes.
Yeah, real spikes.
Comes with the
18
sharpener
plus
in the
could
box.
possibly make you bleed.
Yeah. It's like a Hot Toys, but not really. It's just like
Yeah.
for adult collectors because they're deranged. And that would be me. I'm the demographic. Hello, gents. How you doing, galore? So I have a few more questions, and I think I don't want to take up too much of your time because of just freaking how these.
You mean more than the hour and 19 minutes you've already taken up, Nick? Come on.
This is not my brightest hour.
Tom,
okay?
we are all
It's not my
here.
brightest hour and 19.
Tom, we are all here of our own volition.
That's true. That's true, including me. Including me.
Good. Thank you. And add a smile at the end.
I'm so happy.
That's I'm so happy. So I've got a question for when it comes to what other errors we can sort of expect to see with these figures. Or maybe that if you are planning to do other errors in the first place, and maybe if there's independent wrestling that could come to this figure line or anything like that. Is that anything tickling your fancy, or have you guys talked about internally?
I would say that I definitely, in my mind, can think of, at least with what we have in the pipe, like a few different eras. So that's all I'm going to say right now with that. Definitely there's a few. So there's a couple different eras being worked on. And, as I said, everything's on the table, right? Like if we feel like we can do something and do it quickly and do it well, we'll probably do it. As far as like independent wrestlers and stuff like that, it's a little bit trickier just because, you want to make sure there's that kind of name value behind it. And this is why I haven't forced Dramatico into the line yet, because it's like, it is what it is. There's like, yeah, for sure. Well, I wouldn't go that far. Even I've taken more bumps than Vince Russo. But,
okay, good.
That said, I think there's like a few, barely a few, there's like more than a few hundred people that have seen me have a match, and I don't, in my opinion, like I might get lucky with like the ringside thing behind it, but that's not enough to have a figure release in my opinion at the moment. So with that in mind, like, is your favorite indie wrestler that's like up the street, even though he's like incredible at it, like have enough people watched him that there's going to be like a figure that can be made and be put up for sale? Debatable, probably. But if you're somebody that's like, a little bit higher end with that, and you're kind of on the outskirts of the main wrestling companies or what have you, and you get a lot of attention and whatnot, like, of course it's, it's possible. I think I wouldn't rule out anything that would make a good action figure and make like people excited. So if it seems like it would work, I would consider it.
I think a lot of people are probably looking to what happened with Bell to Bell, like what they've seen with that before, what you've produced before, like the Nick Gage and Cardona 2-packs,
right.
And I think some people are looking at those as maybe guideposts for what you might be able to do with this line.
Sure.
But I think you've said that, separate licenses. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that like stuff in the past, if it's, again, it's like a case-by-case basis. Like perhaps those licenses no longer exist. Perhaps they do. Like everyone's got a different like length of time or something like that, or this or that. So, Nick Gage, again, like another interesting name, like was extremely popular at one point. Like it's kind of, I feel like he's tapered off a little bit lately. He hasn't done as much as he was like 5-6 years ago. But, Nick Gage is at this point, like just as notorious as like a name like New Jack were naming before. Like, so, that's a decent comparison, I think. And
that's a dream match right there.
Yeah. Oh my God. Jeez. I even, and I'm not like a real big deathmatch fan, but I would watch that.
Whoever throws each other off the scaffolding first.
Murder takes all is what you call that match. Like, let's just.
I'll be writing that poster up right after we get off the air. Okay.
Oh, Nick Gage, according to Dream Match, Nick Gage and New Jack has already happened. So what do I know? Whoops.
Well,
Whoops.
I know what I'm doing. I got plans after.
Yeah, I'm
this
gonna watch
episode. Let's
that
get
after
out of
this.
here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let's get out of here already. No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, there's room for pretty much anything, I think. And I don't know if bell to bell is like the perfect measurement of what's to come, because there's it's different licenses. Who knows? Not so much that, but like it's like priority is important. So we want to make sure if we have an opportunity to kind of like strike at something like we did with Hawk and Animal, like let's strike at that first, and then we'll see what comes after that. You know, could be. Bell to Bell was a lot of fun, and I think a good kind of test case for the fact that Ringside can come out with decent action figures. So
I'm guessing Unsanctioned moved up the priority list at Ringside.
Unsanctioned was my priority from the day that I walked in. So I think I hope that, you know, it feels like a higher priority at this point, not just to us, but to the customer base, you know, like I think I've great reactions so far to the bell to bell Sabu that came out. That kind of like is in the shadow of these Road Warriors figures, but that Sabu, the gold pants, like the cloth headpiece, like Sabu is a great name. That's somebody else I'd like to see. So
that's like on the top of my list.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Seriously, because I mean, I remember. I think I grew up on like some of those ECW One Night Stand DVDs. You know, like we had RVD, John Cena, Rey Mysterio, Sabu. So like a lot of that is just nostalgia to me, and stuff that I think has been just an empty kind of place in my collection for those years. Especially in this scale. So I know that's just a talent that I'm kind of clamoring for, but not trying to get into the nitty gritty here. This has been like a great hour and 26 at 20. Oh man, it's going up. It's going up all the time. No, but I want to thank you so much for being here. For one, dude, like this is seriously, you're like a huge inspiration when it comes to me creating, and I don't think I'd be creating in this capacity if you hadn't been making reviews, doing Ringside or Riots, and just generally having your atmosphere when you bring to videos. So seriously, for one, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for that.
Thanks, man. That's nice. Thanks, Nick.
Stop it. Oh, stop it. Just make sure you Venmo me.
All right, yeah. I'll make sure, like, you're, I know we weren't exactly agreeing on price, but I'll move it up. I can pay you a little more for letting me on.
It can be triple digits. I don't mind. I'm not
all
too
right,
picky.
All
it can
right.
be
I'll do my
quadruple.
best.
It's but I want to bring it to the chat real quick. And Justin, if you have a question, please cut me off as well. But I was gonna say, I think Dino Spumoni said, could we get a hint or a sneak peek at maybe what's next? So, you know, not getting too into the weeds. I know you like the surprise drops, but is there anything that you can hint to?
You want a hint or a sneak peek?
Oh,
I have something very special for you. This is a box.
Address.
With something new in it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What's in there, I can't say. But I can say it's new, and it's right here, wrapped in a bunch of bubble wrap. And if you can kind of see, there's your hint.
Holy, dude. You're being so gracious.
Something new.
Man.
Something new.
It's going to be like the Zapruder film, people trying to like frame by frame.
Hopefully I kept it mixed up enough for that not to happen. But there you go.
I think you did for my eyes, at least. I'm going to AI upscale this whole video and see if I
can't imagine anyone, especially with my horrible laptop camera, will be able to see what that was. But there you go. I got
dude.
My workshop has some stuff in it, so you know.
That was tintillating, okay? I'll tell you that much. That's a word. Thank you. Holy hell. Could we possibly see anyone else know how this word's pronounced?
Ancillary.
Ancillary items like you would know. You little businessman, okay? Ancillary items like belts, weapons, and other accessories packaged with the figures.
100%. 100%.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm looking forward to I think Road Warriors, we wanted to make sure that we had the pads and the some hands and stuff and interchangeable heads, right? Make sure you saw that, and I think pads are most important there, as opposed to like if we gave them like a stop sign or something like that. But
Classic.
Ringside Collectibles has the hardcore accessory packs available at the website, so you can always get that. You could get this Road Warriors with a hardcore accessory pack, and there's all the accessories you would need. But can some of those find their way into the Unsanctioned line? For sure. Are there championship titles being worked on? For sure. Other things that I'm not quite ready to mention yet. Yeah, it's in there, and it'll be included in the line moving forward.
Like licensed championships from belt makers, or
maybe.
Yeah.
I think there's a possibility of that. Possibility of something fresh and new.
Ooh.
I think it's planned for us to make sure we have some gold in the line. Definitely, I think.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so excited. You're giving us so much. Man, I'm really pumped for this whole line.
That feels a little exclusive, but I don't know. I feel like I've said it before. So let's just say also that I've said it, even if I haven't said it. So
Are you going to the major thing? WrestleMania weekend?
I'm not
presented by Ringside Collectibles.
Familiar with that. Is that something we're presenting? Whoops.
Yeah.
Perhaps then.
Behalf.
Yeah.
It's fine. We can all meet up there.
Oh, is it like a live
Yeah.
pod? Live pod, maybe. We'll have to see what kind of work I have shackled to my ankles at that time. So I usually, unfortunately, have to avoid the fun stuff WrestleMania weekend. But that said, I think possible. I'll definitely be around that weekend though. So if anyone's around,
I have something in mind kind of pertaining to that. Sorry to cut you off, but
that's all good.
I was wondering, like, when it comes to Ringside Fest and other big kind of toy drop reveal weekends, is that something that we can kind of expect to see with this line?
Like a dedicated weekend of like drops of
Yeah, just
it would be fun.
Or is it gonna be? Yeah, is it gonna be more sort of the oh, here you go, we have something to release, bang,
yeah,
right in your face. I don't know.
Like I said before, I thought that was a lot of fun to do that, so I like the way that worked out, and I think it could work out that way in the future, but I'm not going to say like, oh, we will never have like a pre-order or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
So if we feel like a presentation of like a bunch of stuff is the right approach, we'll probably take that approach for sure.
Do you expect to do some limited edition stuff, like one of 500?
That's 1,000? That's a little deep for my my tastes, and I think that's tough to say. There's nothing about the line that I want to rule out, but as far as like current plans, it's not really in the plans that I can think of. No one of 500s or one of ones or anything like that.
I'm glad everybody likes it when things are available. So.
I think what we did with the variants this time around like worked out really well, and it's a lot of fun. Gives some options, right, which is cool, which doesn't typically happen. And I'm like, let's see what other options we can give.
You're really for collectors, and like this feels like a line for collectors by collectors.
Yeah,
I feel like that's an old adage where you can put in any field, but this really does feel like you're coming at it with a collector's perspective and a fan of the line yourself. You're coming at it from a fan's perspective. I would also love a Legion of Doom Road Warriors, kind of in this articulation, and you kind of made it happen. So that, for one, it just makes me excited for the rest of the line.
Great way to describe it, and I think we wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't that way with the mainstream lines right now too. There are people with criticisms of Mattel WWE figures, but to me, like that's a line for sure, like made by collectors for collectors. Same thing with Jazzware's AEW Unmatched and Unrivaled. Like that's a line by collectors for collectors. So it's really like perfect storm of that kind of thing in terms of wrestling figures at the moment. So definitely
a perfect what?
Storm, a perfect Nick storm. A perfect. Oh my God, the cyclone's coming again. My power's gonna go out. What do I do?
Yeah, we gotta get out of here. Justin, any final questions for Timothy?
No, thanks for doing this, Tom. This was
Sure
awesome.
thing, yeah, Great to see both you guys.
Oh, stop it. Well, hey, look, I like what you're repping, okay? I'm gonna have to get endorsed by those shades again, okay? But also, I can't believe we haven't even said this. How do you get the Road Warriors bloody Ringside code icon? Save yourself 10%. What the heck?
Use code icon.
Better.
Boom.
I said it once. I said it, but I'll say it again. Better timing than jazz. Okay, on that. And then with that, I want to thank Tom for being here, Justin for helping do this, and also Dream Match Figs for putting this show together. And I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who stopped by. And if you watched till this end, I'm looking at you. I'm pointing. Put your hand to the screen. Thank you for joining, dude. Give the video a like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new. Tom, dude, thank you for freaking joining us here, man. Please, I want to roll out the red carpet for yourselves. Sean Evans styles, okay? Tell the people what you have going on. Where can the people find you out there? And yeah, what do you have cooking?
You can find all wrestling action figures that you could possibly be looking for at Ringside Collectibles, wrestlingfigures.com, at Ringside C on all social media channels. My social is at Dramatico Rising if you want to harass me. And, just
I do that.
keep it, just expect everything, expect the unexpected from us, and expect all the best that you can get from Mattel, from Jazzwares, from anybody else that we're carrying. Wrestlingfigures.com is where it's at. Best toy fandom to be a part of, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. The largest selection of wrestling figures on the internet. Okay? See, I am a fan.
Use code ICON.
I'm clipping that.
Use code ICON when checking out at wrestlingfigures.com.
Whoa, clip that.
Save 10%. Clip that too. Save 10%. Clip that. Like an actual coupon. Clip. Hey,
Dude,
Ringside
there we go.
Collectibles, here's my 10% coupon. Code ICON. And we'll say, okay, great. Thank you. There it is. Look at that. 10% off your bill. Excellent.
It's like a wanted poster. You get the little pamphlet. You rip off the code icon.
And your
great.
face is on it along with the word icon.
It's how I order. I order with check,
Stop it.
and
Oh, yes.
and I write code icon.
It does wonders, doesn't it?
It does.
For me. But hopefully for other people, it does when I write in my checkbook. But that's gonna. I'm laughing already. This is gonna be amazing. Anyway, thank you people for joining us, dude. Tom, again, thank you from everyone at Figure Friday. Okay. Hopefully this isn't the last time we see you on here, dude. And I got some more questions. So we didn't even touch the freaking ice.
I'll be ready. We didn't?
hell yeah.
Man, there were a lot of questions.
I know.
Not
I'm
even
sorry.
a little bit
I'm
of the
so
ice?
I know. I'm sorry. You can get one cube. One cube of the ice. No, but dude, thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next week for a brand spanking episode. Thank you for joining this double feature, and I'll see ya. I'm gonna freaking looking at you next. Bye-bye! Did you enjoy this stream? Well, good, because after this stream ends, make sure to go onto my channel and binge watch every single one of my videos, because they're guaranteed a good chuckle or two. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye!
Mixed on the Australian